Hello, hello YouTube. This is Undead93 coming back at you with. Well, it's been quite a while. I've been busy with quite a lot of things lately, but decided to put up some more videos, guys. So I'm gonna give an update on my Chaos Breaker deck because it's changed a lot since the last time I posted it. So start off with my starter, which is still the same, which is Star-vader Dusttail Unicorn. This is mostly used to add additional soul and also to lock a card. My opponent has a card locked. Then I have my secondary starter that is in the deck, which is Involtion Star-vader Carbon, which this unit is basically if my opponent has a unit that's locked, I put this unit to soul and I call grade 1 or less from my deck, which most likely will be anywhere. Most of the time when I use it, I call out a zinc so I can get more soul charge, gene, and damage on flipping. We have our 4 Paradigm Shift Dragons, which with this creature, or with this trigger, is one, it's a critical trigger, so it's really good, and also with it is if my opponent has a locked card, I can and my opponent has a free open back row, I can basically use this to toss it back on top of the deck, shuffle the deck, and lock a card. Which is also, if there are no more zincs in your deck, he's also a good target because you can kind of loop him. Then I have 4 Weiss Solet, who is my other critical trigger of the deck. He's mostly for critical trigger and that allows for pushing more damage. Then we have 4 of Diosium as my stand trigger. With how my deck works is my deck is more built around control. So Diosium, in my opinion, is probably the better trigger with how I run my deck, is because he works as Palladium if I need to put him on the it on the board, and if not, it also lets me stand my units, so allow me to put more additional pressure. And we have the best heal trigger, which is Tellurium, because she's the greatest. And then we go to our grade 1s, which you have 4 of my Limit Break Enabler, because we want to get to our Limit Break Enabler as quickly as possible. Then we have 3 Zincs. And the main reason I'm only running 3 Zincs instead of 4 is because with the engine of my deck is I'm able to loop her continuously if need be. And we have our 3 Palladiums, since also Diosium works as a Palladium, and we need to run as much of Palladium. Then we have our 4 PG. Since we have zinc in the deck, we don't need to run the unflipping PG, since zinc does the purpose of unflipping. Other than that, in my opinion, I like this one better because it's also Star-vader. Then we have 2 Photons. He's more. The reason he's at 2 is more of personal preference, because due to other cards in the deck, he's a free lock. When my opponent has a locked card when he's placed on rare. But other than that, the other unit that came out later pretty much does his job a bit better since he swings for bigger numbers. Then we have 4 of our new guy, who is Iron. Basically, he's an 11k attacker with Chaos Breaker, which is the only Chaos monster in my deck. And then if he's placed on rear and I have a Chaos Vanguard, if my opponent has a locked card, I counterblast 1 to lock a card, which is really good because it allows more pressure. Then we have 4 Astral Reaper, who goes with my secondary grade 3, who is Dark Zodiac, Also, he allows me to put more pressure on my opponent because if I'm on Zodiac or Chaos Breaker during stride turn, or and I have enough cards in Soul, I can always use him to try to see what is in my deck to make sure that, hey, I can get a free Chaos Breaker Zodiac to hand if I hit or something like that, because he allows me to put more pressure. So he's a pretty interesting card. We have our 4 Dark Zodiacs, who is my secondary grade 3. The reason I like him better than Chaos Bringer and some of the other units that people have been using is, one, he allows me to set up my grave early, because you can use Dark Zodiac to use his skill to discard a Dark Zodiac, which will set up your grave, and then you can also Legion, throw all things back in. Also, he allows me to Mega Lock to keep my opponent's field locked down further. Other than that, he's a pretty decent boss monster. He allows for a lot of interesting scenarios. And then we have our main boss monster, which is 4 Chaos Breakers, which he's basically similar. Is he, for Counterblast and discard a card, allows me to lock a card, and then at the end of the turn at Limit Break, I Soul Blast 1 for each card that would be unlocked, and I would retire it, draw a card. And so, in my opinion, I like this boss monster more than the Messiah boss monster, since he gets to get rid of the problems that are on the board, while Alter Ego, he keeps them on the board. And the only way they can get rid of things on the board is due to Elix, and sometimes Elix isn't, they can't get to Elix, in my opinion, fast enough. But they can still keep their opponent's stuff locked away. But I just like Chaos Breaker because he lets me get rid of things faster and create more advantage. Other than that, the only things that are really giant hindrances to this deck are Alfred Royal Paladin, Etzel Gold Paladin, Messiah, since they're anti-Link Joker, and any form of rush deck, since Link Joker, if they're rushed early on, they have a really hard time keeping up. Then in my stride deck, we have 1 Genesis Dragon Gentleman Messiah. He's usually my first stride if my opponent doesn't have a board. Well, if they have like something on the board like their starter, I would just use him for more pressure. If he hits, he locks unit. And also, if I'm going in a mirror match, I can also use him, because if he does hit, I can unlock one of my units. Then we have Genesis Dragon and Mystic Messiah. He's mostly due for the mirror match, in case I'm facing another Chaos Breaker player, Blaster Joker player, basically any Link Joker player, so that I can unlock my board and bring state to me. The only thing is, when you do face a mirror match, is it basically comes down to whoever amnesty's second. Because if you amnesty first, your opponent will have the chance to just relock everything. But if you're the second person going, your opponent has already gone through all you needed everything as needed, so you don't have to worry about them dropping the amnesty on you, unless they're running 2 amnesties, which sometimes happens. Then we have 2 Chaos Universes, who is basically like an upgraded-ish version of Chaos Breaker, but from like lore, he's like another robot made by Chaos Breaker, which is interesting. The lore in this series, in this card game, is really interesting. Basically, with him, you counterblast, you flip a copy of him, you choose a rear guard of your opponents. Your opponent puts a card from their hand down face down, and then if he is second stride, you can choose a card in the back row and lock it. They can choose a card and you just choose a rear guard and lock it, which is really good. Because what I like to do is if my opponent has no rear guards, I'll go into Chaos Universe, so allow me to get some sort of advantage by putting things on the board locked. And if they do have things on the board, I'll go into Judgment Messiah. And then we have our 4 big crunches, who's basically our main stride of the deck. He's mostly used if I need to make sure that there are troublesome cards on the board that need to be put away for a couple turns, for a turn or two. He basically is Counterblast 1, flip a copy of himself, choose a rear guard. The whole column of that rear guard is Omega locked, which means it's locked for 2 turns, which allows me to get rid of troublesome cards or columns. So it's really good if you're facing Aqua Force or Nova Grapplers, which are very rear guard heavy decks. But other than that, that's basically how this deck runs. This deck has a very fun engine, and my Zodiacs who let me to recycle basically anything that is needed. Most stuff that I do recycle are mostly in my grade 3s, my perfect guards, my heal triggers, and if needed, my zincs. Chaos Breaker is my draw engine. That's why there are no draw triggers in the deck. If ever need be, if they ever make any sort of additional triggers that do things that are critical triggers, I might move this deck up to 12 crit. But at the moment, the deck seems to be working pretty well with 8 crit, 4 stand, and 4 heal. But other than that, I think that'd be it. So thank you all for watching, and have a wonderful day.